Real estate is a subject that in recent years has been in the spotlight more than ever, with a lot of financial advisors stating that owning land is what made them a fortune, as well as the inflation. Real estate properties are skyrocketing all over the world. So, because you and me might never be able to own a house, let's take a look to how it all started. First of all, let's establish what is real estate. Real estate is any property that consists of land or buildings, along with any natural resources in it, such as minerals, crops, or water. Basically, a land with anything that is permanently attached to it. Humanity, however, wasn't always trying to own everything they came across, even though the need for it started thousands of years ago. The transition from hunter lifestyle to being able to lock yourself up in your home and cry started somewhere between 30,000 and 15,000 BC. In fact, the natural right for a person to own a property can be traced back to Roman laws and ancient Greek philosophy. Romans were able to own land and their own house to provide for their families after winning the land in conquest by the Roman army. As the years passed due to wars and dynamic changes, the land moved to the wealthy people, almost making it impossible for many to own land. In fact, historians trace even the origins of mortgage contracts to the reign of King of Persia. In 5th century BC, the Roman Empire formalized and documented the legal process of pledging collateral for a loan. In the 1500s, the profession of appraisal began in England. An appraiser is the person that develops and reports an opinion of value on a property. In short, they started setting the price for the land. In the 15th and 16th century, natural law was discussed among writers as it pertained the protection of citizens' private property. Of course, most properties were owned by royal families that would spread their wealth to family and friends with titles and deeds, so that the holders could collect revenue and rent by the peasants living there. The people living under a ruler's realm were also obliged to pay taxes. Back then, the ruler could also demand military service. Rulers could be overthrown, and a new ruler would take the throne, but the way that real estate worked was the same for the citizens. While traders and merchants started working with other kingdoms, there was an increase in general wealth, thus giving the ability to start buying, selling, and renting properties among themselves, but still had to pay taxes to the various lords. Of course, these merchants were rich, and even though they didn't own the land, they did own the houses. As politics started changing and many aristocracies were displaced, the lands were broken into smaller parcels and were sold on free markets. However, these lands were bought by rich merchants or even by former aristocrats. The everyday citizen was still far from being part of what we call real estate today. The term real estate is first recorded somewhere in the 1660s, and the word is derived from the Latin word real, which means genuine, and the old French word estate, which means status. No accidents in the words describing how we view someone's house, unfortunately, until today. One of the largest initial real estate deals happened in 1803, known as the Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase Treaty was signed, basically making the U.S. the owners of Louisiana, after buying it for $15 million from France. The whole of Louisiana Territory cost roughly 4 cents per acre. The first records of home sales in the U.S. started in the late 1800s. In 1908, the National Association of Real Estate Exchanges was founded to bring brokers and agents together to sell homes. In 1910s, brokers would offer open houses to the public to sell the homes. These open houses often spanned for days or weeks until a buyer was found. The brokers would have to spend all day inside the home, which meant they could only represent one listing at a time. Until 1919, anyone could call themselves a real estate broker, without any professional license, kind of like 90% of YouTube's financial advisors. So in 1919, the states started to enact real estate licensing laws to ensure that the person selling the house would be of high moral character and reputation. By the 1930s, real estate companies began to employ multiple agents, which allowed them to take on multiple listings. Agents also began to use open houses as personal marketing tools, using contracts they made at open houses to market other listings that might be right for the buyer. However, due to the market crash of 1929 and the Great Depression in the U.S., the real estate prices dropped dramatically, seeing a depreciation of 50%. The effects on real estate lasted for about 4 years. In 1933, the Federal Deposit Insurance, along with the Federal Housing Administration, implemented a system that allowed mortgage insurance for home buyers. In 1938, an amendment was made to the National Housing Act, and Fannie Mae, a government agency, was established to serve as a secondary market for mortgages and to give lenders more money in order for new homes to be funded. One of the most important steps for real estate happened in 1968 under the Fair Housing Act. which dealt with the incorporation of African Americans into neighborhoods, as the issues of discrimination were analyzed with the renting, buying, and financing of homes. By the 1990s, property listings became public on the internet, and real estate companies were quick to follow suit. For example, Realtor.com, one of the first real estate websites, started in the mid-1990s. The industry advanced further in 1999 when Homestore.com, now called Move, made an initial public offering that regenerated $140 million, making it the first real estate company to go public. In the early 2000s, shows like Room by Room and Dream Builders popularized and glamorized house flipping, but the financial crisis of 2007 stopped all progress. The values plummeted again, resulting in homeowners owing more on mortgages than what their actual property was worth. I suggest you watch the movie The Big Short, a very nice movie that describes what actually happened and how the crisis came along in 2007. It might even give some answers as to what might be waiting for us around the corner. Once the economy showed signs of a full recovery in 2012, and with the combination of technology advancements like social media, advanced personal websites, and mobile phones, real estate yet again took a prominent place. Today, real estate professionals practically require a strong website and social media presence for sellers to contact them. Real estate websites that consolidate different companies, brokers, and listings have also become necessary for both buyers and sellers. As you understand, even though progressed and advanced, the foundation for real estate, as we know it today, was set thousands of years ago, and it took a long time for people to be part of the game. Still, we have a long way to go, and if history is actually repeated as they say, then we're in for a ride in the coming years. At any case, let's hope you subscribe and like so we can watch the future unfold together. See ya!